Are you ready to hear the chilling tales of unsuspecting men who fell prey to the dark side of online dating? From deceitful catfishing schemes to threatening encounters, these stories will leave you on the edge of your seat. In this final volume, we delve deep into the scariest experiences that men have faced on dating apps. As these victims narrate their stories, we will uncover the dark and twisted tactics that some people use to exploit those looking for love online. Brace yourselves for the most horrifying and unsettling accounts you've ever heard. This is not for the faint-hearted, so prepare to be shocked and disturbed as we bring you the final volume of these bone-chilling stories. Story 1. I thought I'd hit the jackpot when I downloaded that online dating app. After going through a breakup of 2 years of relationship and being single for 1 year, I was ready to take a chance and try something new. Little did I know my decision to swipe right would lead me down the same path. I started chatting with a girl who seemed nice enough. We messaged back and forth for a while, until she suggested we started video calling. At first, I didn't think anything of it. I assumed she wanted to get to know me better before we met up in person. But as the days went on, she never brought up the idea of meeting up. Instead, our conversations always revolved around video calls and pictures. I started to feel uneasy about the whole thing, but I didn't want to ruin the chance of finding love. Things took a turn when she told me she liked me, and I was over the moon. I'd finally found someone who was interested in me. But then, she started asking for more and more pictures. I didn't think much of it at first, but soon it became an obsession for her. One day I woke up to find that she had uploaded all my pictures to my school's Facebook page. I was horrified. My pictures were everywhere, for everyone to see. I felt like a laughingstock, like I'd been violated. It turned out this girl was actually my ex. She'd done all of this as a way to get revenge on me for breaking up with her. The whole thing was a cruel game to her, and I was the unwitting victim. I felt violated and humiliated. I couldn't believe that someone would do something like this to me. The worst part was that there was nothing I could do to stop it. It was like I was trapped in a nightmare. Looking back on it now, I realised that I should have been more cautious. I should have trusted my instinct when things started to feel off. But I was blinded by the idea of finding love, and it cost me dearly. If there's one thing I learned from this experience, it's that online dating can be a dangerous game. You never know who you're really talking to or what their intentions are. So be careful out there, because the consequences can be truly horrifying. Story 2. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to use dating apps, but after a few failed attempts at meeting someone in person, I decided to give it a shot. It was then a decision that I would come to regret, however. One day, I matched with a woman named Sarah. She was beautiful, smart, and had a great sense of humour. We hit it off immediately, chatting for hours on end. She seemed like the perfect woman, and I was excited to meet her in person. But things started to take a strange turn when she suggested we meet up in a forest near her house. I thought it was a little odd, but I was willing to go along with it. When I got there, Sarah was waiting for me with a big smile on her face. As we started to walk deeper into the woods, I noticed something strange. There were no other people around, and the path we were taking seemed to be getting narrower and more overgrown. Suddenly, I heard the sound of a car coming towards us. At first, I thought it was just someone driving by. As the car got closer, I realized something was off. The driver was staring at us with a look of intense hatred. Sarah seemed to know what was happening. She grabbed my arm and pulled me towards her, shielding me from the car. But it was too late. The car had stopped right in front of us, and several men jumped out. They were wearing masks and carrying weapons. Before I knew what was happening, they'd grabbed me and started dragging me towards the car. Sarah was screaming and crying, but they didn't seem to care. They just threw me into the back seat and drove off, leaving Sarah behind. I was terrified. I had no idea what was happening or where they were taking me. All I knew was that I was in the hands of a dangerous gang, and I had no idea how I was going to get out alive. Hours passed as they drove deeper and deeper into the forest. My captors didn't say a word, but their eyes were filled with malice and hate. I was sure I was going to die. But then, something miraculous happened. The car hit a pothole, and one of the doors popped open. I saw my chance and I took it. I jumped out of the car and started running as fast as I could. I don't know how long I ran for, but eventually I stumbled upon a group of hikers who called the police. I was eventually rescued, but the trauma of that day still haunts me to this day. Story 3. Back in 2020, when I was 16 years old, I did some stupid things that I'm not proud of. I was living with my mother and stepfather, and being an only child with no biological father around, I was a bit spoiled. One night I snuck out of the house with some friends to drink and have a good time. My mother found out and grounded me for a week. I was stuck at home, and being the silly teenager that I was, I decided to spend my time on social media. One night I got bored and decided to install a dating app, Tinder, to have some fun. I lied about my age in my bio and said I was 18, when in reality, I was only 16. I was picky, and out of 10 swipes, I only found one girl attractive. Her name was Alina, and she was 24 years old. We started talking, and she was the one who flirted with me first. We exchanged numbers and talked until the early hours of the morning. I fell asleep without telling her I was going to bed. The next morning I woke up to a nightmare. I had 12 missed calls, 6 voicemails, and countless threatening messages from Alina. She was angry that I didn't reply, and said that she didn't like to be ignored. She threatened to punch me, and said she couldn't tolerate being treated that way. I was scared and blocked her instantly on all platforms, but I forgot to block her on Tinder. That same night, I remembered that I hadn't blocked her on Tinder, and it was too late. She messaged me, saying that she was coming over to my place to take revenge for insulting her. I was scared to death because she was just 1 mile away from my home. I spent the whole night peeking out my window, waiting for her to come. I couldn't tell my mother because I knew the consequences would be severe. I eventually fell asleep and woke up the next morning. I went downstairs and saw my mother talking to a stranger at the door. It was Alina, but my mother didn't know that. Alina asked for me, saying she knew me from church. My mother said she had the wrong address, and Alina left. I went back upstairs and checked my phone. Alina had messaged me on Tinder, saying that she'd come to my place but couldn't find me. She said she was going to come find me and punch me in the face. I blocked her again on Tinder, but the messages kept coming. Days went by without anything happening, and I thought I was safe. But one night, I woke up to the sound of someone tapping on my window. I looked out and saw Alina's face staring back at me. I screamed and woke my mother, but when we went to check outside, she was gone. I never saw Alina again, but the experience still haunts me to this day. I learned that being careless on social media can have severe consequences, and I was lucky to have escaped with my life. And that concludes the final volume of these spine-tingling stories. We hope you enjoyed them as much as we enjoyed sharing them with you. If you want to hear more, be sure to let us know in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an upload. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, stay safe, and beware of the things that go bump in the night.